Hello guys, welcome to PTK, and today we are going to learn in a different way. First we will learn about class, then we will learn about OOPS, that is Object Oriented Programming Language. Python classes and objects. Python is completely object oriented language. This approach towards programming seeks to treat data and functions as part as a single unit called an object. The class defines attributes and the behavior of the object, while the object on the other hand represents the class. So here, as I said that the class defines the behavior and attribute of the object. Here, attribute meant variables. That means data we are passing, and behavior its methods. That means user defines functions. Almost everything in Python is an object with its properties and methods. A class is a user-defined blueprint or prototype from which objects are created. Suppose a class is a prototype of a building. A building contains all details about the floor, rooms, doors, windows, etc. We can make as many buildings as we want based on the details. Creating a new class creates a new type of object. Hence, the building can be seen as a class, and we can create as many objects of this class. On the other hand, the object is the instance of the class. I am going to show you how to create a class. Before creating a class, I want to explain of some built-in types. We are unknowingly working with classes and objects right from the beginning. Every element in Python programming is an object of a class. A number. So the inbuilt classes are a number, string, list, dictionary, and etc. So these are the built-in types of Python programming language. Let me show you an example. So here a is equal to 10 and string 1 equal to Python. Here a is equal to 10. 10 is an integer and here Python is a string. So if I want to execute about the type of a and a type of string 1, what it will execute? It executes class int and class string. So why it came like this? Because 10 is an integer. Integer is already an inbuilt class of Python. And so because the a has the value of an integer, it becomes the object of an integer. Same as string 1, it's a string value, that's Python. So it becomes the object of string, that is str right here. Let me show you the class definition syntax. So first you will have to write the class keyword, have to give space and the class name, whatever class name we want. We had to not use space between class names, and we had to give a colon. We had to remember this one. So this is the syntax. So we had to write the class keyword, class name, then a colon. Even the function definition defined using the def keyword belongs to a function of a class. Class definition begins with a class keyword. Classes are created by the keyword class. Attributes are variables that belong to the class. And attributes are always public and can be accessed using the dot operator. Example, my class dot my attribute. Class typically includes the following members. These are the 4 members. That is constructor, that is instance variable. Attributes are also called as variables. Class attributes or class variables, and methods. A class can also be defined without any members. The following computer class with a doc string. Python objects have an attribute method called doc. It provides a documentation of the object. For example, you simply call computer dot 2 underscores doc 2 underscores on your class computer to retrieve its documentation as a string. Let me show. The class name is computer. It has, whenever we give three quotes, in a class, it is the doc string, and I keep pass because we're not giving any members, and we are going to execute computer.doc string. So how we write it is, here there are 2 underscores, then we will write doc, again 2 underscores. So if I execute this, doc string is that this is an empty computer class. Declare an object of the above computer class. An object is an instance of a class. A class is like a blueprint, while an instance is a copy of the class with actual values. So let me create a class named computer. So here I made a class named computer and made a method. Method means function, but it is when we're talking about in the class, we call it as methods. So we create a method named config and we give the self parameter. I'm going to talk about it afterwards. And print statement, and I give i7 RAM. The processor is i7, 32 GB RAM, and hard disk is 1 terabyte. So here I'm going to say how to create an object. First, to make the object name, here it is comp1. Then we have to give the equal operator. Afterwards, you have to give the class name, whatever class name. For here, computer is our class name. So computer, and we have to remember parent keys. Now if I give computer.config, so that means we're going to give the values. If I execute this, why did it come an error? Let me show you why. Here we give the computer.config. Here config belongs to the computer, but it needs to pass. That's why self is right here, to pass. Here, but who are we going to pass? So that is comp1. So comp1. So when we write this computer.config, that means config belongs to the computer, and we are passing the config values to comp1. If I execute this now, see, it gave the processor i7, 32 GB RAM and 1 TB of the capacity of hard disk. Because it didn't come in error here, because we are saying config who to give the value, pass the values. We can even write like this. You know why? Because so the component is calling itself to say config that to give the values. So if I execute this, it executes to 2 times, because this one for this, and when it executed this because of this. The following class computer includes attributes, a constructor, instance attribute, and methods. Let me show an example. So here I created a class named computer count equals 0. Here it's a class attribute, meaning it's a class variable. And I'm going to create a constructor name Init Function. Here to write Init Function, we have to use a def keyword that is even used to create any functions or methods. You have to give space, and let me show you how to write an init function. It is like dog but different. Like at the left of dog there will be 2 underscores. Instead of dog right here, it will give init, and then same like dog, 2 underscores and self parameter. And I gave the print statement constructor invoked, and self.processor is unknown, that is an instance attribute. Self.RAM equals 32 GB, that is even an instance attribute, and self.disk is equal to 1 TB, that is even an instance attribute. And I'm creating a method named displayConfig with the self parameter. Then it will and print statement self.processor, self.RAM, self.disk. And comp1, we're going to create an object comp1 to display config, that is unknown, 32 GB and 1 TB, and print the number of objects for computer class computer.count. So it executed while it came like this: constructor invoke unknown and 32 GB and 1 TB, and number of objects for computer class 1. Let me say you why. First, it came constructor invoked because of this, due to the self, and self.processor is unknown, and self.ram is 32 GB here, and self.disk is 1 TB, and it executed this. And we give a syntax that how many objects are there. To do that, I can simply count equals 0, and it belongs to computer class. So computer.count and number of objects for computer class equals 1. That is only comp1. That's why it executed this. So as I create, so this is now let me talk about constructor. In Python, the constructor method is invoked automatically whenever a new object of a class is instantiated. It is same as the constructor in C or Java. The constructor must have a special name __init___ parentheses and a special parameter called self. Note, that means we have to remember it. The first parameter of each method in a class must be self, which refers to the calling the object. However, you can give any name to the first parameter, not necessarily self. Instead of giving self, we can change different name. We can write any name instead of self. Instance attributes, called as even as instance variables. Instance attributes are attributes or properties attached to an instance of a class. Instance attributes are defined in the constructor. An instance attribute can be accessed using the dot notation. Instance name dot instance attribute name as shown below. You can set the value of attributes using the dot notation as shown below. So I'm going to change the values. So inside self-top processor, I'm going to keep as I7 and self-top RAM not 32 GB but 64 GB and instead of self-top disk is 1 TB. I'm going to give 1 TB SSD. And if I execute it, it comes different values. i7 64 GB and 1 TB SSD. You can specify the values of instance attributes through the constructor. The following constructor includes the name and age parameters other than the self parameter. Now let me talk about class attributes. Class attributes are different from instance attributes. An attribute whose value is the same for all instances of a class is called a class attribute. The value of a class attribute is shared by all objects of the class. Class attributes are defined at the class level rather than inside the constructor method, that's init. Unlike instance attributes, class attributes are accessed using the name of a class. So, let me show you. Now here, I executed computer.count. So, it came number of objects for computer class 1. But, if I keep computer.count right here equals 10. And if I execute computer.count, it comes 11 because we're adding that much. Because 10, when I kept 0 here, it came 1 because it's not adding anything. It's incrementing by 10. If it's incrementing by 0, nothing it will add. And it is counting the number of objects here 1. But it's incrementing plus 1. So it will increment till 10. So 10 plus 1, 11. So it executed 11. And now this is the end of our video. For now, bye bye.